What's going on, guys? I'm back with another one, and I just watched a movie called Late Night with the Devil. Title's already creepy, okay? Starring David Dastmalchian. I could have said his name right or wrong. I don't know. I don't know. Ingrid Torelli and Laura Gordon. First of all, this movie evolves around selling the soul for higher advances in Hollywood. Duh. Where else is it gonna be? All right. And it also is talking about a talk show host that is the lead guy of the movie. Okay, so I have to talk about careers before the show, and what I mean by that is these talk show hosts. A lot of these talk show hosts, their careers before that show were not that great. It makes me wonder how did they? And I'm not trying to insinuate that they sold their soul. I'm just saying if that happened, it would make sense because you went from this to this. It's not adding up. It's not adding up. All right. And the first one we got to talk about is Jimmy Fallon. Now, yes, this guy started off on SNL. That is a big boost for your first. All right. But he was the guy that I don't think anybody else on the set liked. All he did was laugh and break character all the time. He's the one that made it okay to break character, which is, it's okay sometimes, but all the time is annoying. It's annoying, and I understood if anybody just did not like this guy on set. Okay, all right, it's not that funny every time, bro. Then after that, the only movie he really did was Taxi. Taxi, not the good Taxi. The one with Queen Latifah in it, when I see Queen Latifah, I'm sorry, man. I automatically think it's gonna flop. She hasn't been involved in anything good for a long time. It is what it is, okay? And then he had his own talk show in 2014, I think. All right, I'm just still trying to wonder how. Yeah, it could have been SNL a little bit that got you there. But no. And the show's not bad. The show is funny. I've seen some episodes. Okay. Not a bad show, but just how'd you get there? You. Then we have Jimmy Kimmel. The other Jimmy. Now, actually, Jimmy Kimmel, man, he used to have this show called The Man Show, which was the only thing I can remember him doing before he got his own show. That show was incredible. It's a show that you can't do now. Sadly, you can't do this show now. And a lot of you guys, the young guys, would have loved this show. Guarantee you that. And it was only a good show with him and Adam Carolla. After that, I think somebody else got a hold of it or something like that. And of course, it didn't do that well. And then he all of a sudden got his own late night spot. That's all it took. Now, yes, it could have been because of the Man Show, and they remember that. But other than that, when he got on the show, he wasn't the same guy from the Man Show. Did they put you in some dark room under a machine and, change you? What happened? What happened? It's not the same Jimmy Kimmel I used to know. Okay. Moving on. Then we have Arsenio Hall. And this is some 80s, 90s type stuff right here, okay? If you're even that old. Arsenio Hall, even during his run on his show, he was doing stuff, I guess. He only had 2 movies, though, that I can remember that really meant anything. Harlem Nights, where he played a supporting character, which is hilarious, by the way. And then he had, Coming to America, where he was a sidekick. Judging off those 2 movies, I don't understand how that merits your own talk show. Make me understand this. It doesn't. Funny guy though. He is hilarious on his show. On his show, he was hilarious. On the movies, he was hilarious. But still, you only. I guess it's who you know, huh? It's who you know. Not gonna say too much more. All right. Moving on. Craig Ferguson. This is an interesting one because Craig Ferguson used to be on this little show that was called the Drew Carey Show. A lot of you old people know what I'm talking about. And Drew Carey Show was a very good show. Funny, hilarious. Had a lot of good characters on there. Craig Ferguson was one of them. Not the most liked one. He was the boss that, it was whole. But still, he played that character very well. Okay? And then he just got his own show. All of a sudden. I don't know how it went from that, a very small role on Drew Carey's show, to that. Here we go with people you know again, right? I guess it's all who you know. Speaking of that show, very interesting. I used to like that show because they really didn't interview any male celebrities. It was always female celebrities, for what I can remember. I'm not knocking them. I'm not hating. Do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. It was a very flirtatious show with a lot of flirting going on. Not mad at them at all. I used to like watching that show every time for the guests on the show, the female guests. Man, it was no one complained about what he was doing. I'm not saying he did anything that was above or past the line or anything like that, but the chemistry was always on point. I can't argue with that. Okay. Last but not least, Conan O'Brien, which, by the way, my favorite talk show host. The funniest talk show host, in my opinion. But I still have to say this. This man was just a writer on Simpsons and SNL, which, yes, two big, long-running shows, still going right now, shows. Simpsons, I don't understand why that's still going. I can't make the sense of it. It doesn't make sense at all. Please stop showing The Simpsons. It's not funny anymore. No. Anyways, he did a great job regardless writing on those shows. And I'm not knocking him or trying to downgrade, what he did. But he wasn't in any movies or anything like that at all. And then he got his own talk show. Now, this might have made sense, the most sense out of all these people on the list, that he got his own talk show, because it actually worked out well, and that is one of the best talk shows in history, in my opinion, when it comes to late night. All right? And now we have this guy on this fictional talk show. And my question, I guess, is it the same scenario? Did he really deserve that talk show? We're about to find out. Let's go. Late Night with the Devil. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, well, I can't quite blame you if you didn't know. Because this one was kind of under the radar. Like, it was kind of, you know how the alligator eyes is just kind of under the water halfway? You can't see it, but you can see it. It was kind of doing that number. All right, and I had to hear about this outside from other people. My attention had to be brought to this movie by others in order to say, "Oh, this movie exists." And then I saw the trailer, of course, and it pulled me in. So if you didn't know, I'm not going to penalize you this time. Don't worry, it's okay. It's all right. That doesn't mean you're good next time, all right? Late Night with the Devil. Pretty much about this guy who, for a good while, he's been a host of his own show since the early 70s. And then tragedy struck because he used to do his whole thing with his wife, and they were a team, and they were good. They worked good together. Then his wife got sick all of a sudden. And as the movie mentions, she's not even a smoker like that, but she got cancer. or lung cancer, something like that. And she dies, of course. Then, these rumors come out about the host being a member of some kind of group over in the woods or whatever is going on over there in the log cabins with a bunch of guys who do all this weird stuff over there. And it's supposed to be a rumor, right? Just a rumor. Then after all that happens, and he goes to this little stage of trying to figure out what he's going to do with his show, and things are not going right, something else happens. And then he comes back for his grand premiere or whatever for his next show. Mind you, he has some guests on there, a little girl and a book about demons, which he should be very, be looking out for that, okay? And there's also this guy that can read minds and see into the future of people. Now, people on the show think that he's kind of a hoax and he's a fake and all this. Then he starts reading everybody in the audience, and he's really doing some real readings. And all of a sudden, his brain starts getting this contusions and the convulsions in his head, and he's having a reading that he blurts out, but nobody in the audience connects to that reading until later on. The host finds out it's talking about him, and then they bring the girl on, okay? And this is where it starts to get crazy, because the girl who's supposed to be possessed by demons, she knows a lot about what's going on with that host. When that demon starts talking, it's talking to the host, all right? And now he has to figure out how this is going on and what's going on with the situation. And that's the premise of the movie, pretty much. Positives. This has that whole 70s horror vibe embedded in the entire movie. Okay, and it really works. Let me tell you something about how I think about 70s horror movies. They are some of the scariest horror movies ever that I've ever seen. Exorcist, Carrie, which I might think it was the 80s, but whatever, it's close to the 70s, whatever. There's a lot of 70s. Just the way it looks, that old dusty look, and then you put horror and the background, eerie music in the background with the afros and the bell bottoms, and it's just something. I don't know what it is about that. I don't know what is that old look that gives me the chills. And in this movie, they most definitely had that vibe going through the entire movie. Everything. I felt like I was back in the day all of a sudden. I just know what era I was in because of that, okay? It worked. Another positive. It's dug deep into the Hollywood rituals. Now, I kind of mentioned this earlier with the selling the soul, the devil. Yes, this man, something funny was going on. And it had a whole documentary on him before and all this and other things that were going on during the show with the devil worshiping and the little girl that was possessed, and all this was, and his career all of a sudden was about to make a change after all this, and he didn't know because it was going downhill because his wife passed and all this, and his wife mysteriously passed. I like how they put all those elements in the movie. How they just kind of added all that in there and hinted that you know what's going on. And I'm not trying to be this conspiracy theory channel. Well, I'm just gonna call them Uncle Naughty. Uncle Naughty definitely has something to do with that transformation. Okay? With the whole ordeal he went through. Uncle Naughty was all up in that. And definitely towards the end of the movie, when all it shows other things going on. I'm not going to say too much, but it shows a lot, okay? And everything has to do with the rituals and what you have to go through to get this, and what you have to sacrifice, and sacrifices must be made. It's very well written. Okay. Another positive. Ingrid Torelli's performance was strangely gratifying. Okay. I don't know what it is about her character that she played, but her acting, the way she put that character on the line like that, she was so weird. She was so strange. The weird, the awkward movements and she wasn't a normal person. She definitely stood out. From her entrance to her exit, she stood out the entire movie. And I don't even think she had to stand out with the demon in her. Even if she wasn't possessed, she still would have stood out. Just the way she was acting, like a kid, a little girl who did not have a normal upbringing, okay, who was raised under a cult. Obviously, she was so robotical, but it was not the bad robotical acting. It was something that made sense, something that it worked. It worked for her character. Okay, I've never seen someone take a possessed person and show us just how weird they are before you even see them get possessed. And she did that, and on her own, that was creepy. She made that creepy as hell. She probably was one of the creepiest people on the movie, and there are other people who were just morally insane and corrupt in that movie. Okay, trust me. Last positive. The narration of the timeline felt so real. It was so authentic. When they were going through his history and, what he achieved in life and, his wife and a marriage, it felt like an actual story that actually existed in the 70s, that actually went down. Okay. And it was told in such a brilliant way and manner that I almost forgot, hey, this is fake. This is not real, bro. This is not real. Snap out of it. I know it's a good story and all, but they just made this crap up off the top of the head. So you kind of get lost in the storyline a little bit. Like, man, is this a real host? Talk show host? Is he? I only heard about Carson, not this guy. Oh, it's not real. It's not real. So yeah, I got lost in that storyline easily. Okay, and not in a bad way, just lost in the fact that it definitely had me fooled for a minute. I almost had to look it up and see if they weren't taking this from real life events or something like that, because yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. You almost got me there. Negatives. Carmichael was so damn annoying. Carmichael is this naysayer. He doesn't, he has a lot to say about, the supernatural and how you can always fake everything. Everything has some kind of hoax behind it, some kind of trick or a parlor show or something behind the curtain. So don't believe the hype. In other words, don't believe everything you see. And he was just a skeptic. He's a skeptic. He was a hardcore skeptic, and he's an illusionist. At the same, he hypnotizes people. So I guess he knows the tricks in the trade. In his heart, he knew the tricks in the trade, but at the same time, the reason he was so damn annoying because he never shut up about it. He had to try to call everybody out on the show about how corny and fake this is, and this ain't real. This ain't real. That's not real. I can prove right now. And I wanted someone to just kick his ass immediately after probably the 6th time he did that. And I was saying to myself, when something happens to him, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. I'm not saying too much. I'm not saying what happened or whatever's gonna happen to anybody in the movie. I'm just saying I wanted something to happen to him, before the time for anything to happen. I wanted something to immediately happen because he was really pushing my nerves, and I know he was getting on everybody else's nerves in the movie, and I was right along with them. Please, something happened. Now at the same time, he was funny. It was a funny character, but no, he was pushing my nerves. He was pushing some buttons, and he had to go. He had to go. All right. Another negative. This is supposed to be a horror comedy. So I'm trying to understand, or somebody make me understand, where was the comedy part at? Not one time did I laugh at anything. Now, yes, it's a talk show, a late night talk show. So there were a lot of jokes between the host and the band, like any other talk show. But they were corny jokes, and those jokes were made because that's what the movie was about, a talk show. That was kind of just put in there. Those jokes were not really made to be like side-splitting jokes. Honestly. No, it was just because the movie is about a talk show host, a late night host in the 70s. And so you have to put that in there to emulate that picture. Okay? Other than that, no, it's nothing funny about this. It's eerie. The entire movie is creepy and eerie. Okay? No, I didn't go I didn't in anything. Now I kind of laughed, like I said, at Carmichael's character a couple of times because the audacity of him, the audacity. But other than that, and that wasn't intentional. That was not supposed to be an intentional comedy. It was just okay. But other than that, no, it's not really a funny movie. So it was kind of weird that they labeled this a horror / comedy. I guess maybe they didn't know what else to call it. I don't know, but it's not funny. It's not funny. If that was their mission to make it to be funny, that's not what you accomplished. All right, at all. Okay. Last negative. The ending was lackluster. All right. Let's just say with a paranormal movie like this, it's always that one that's possessed, right? Okay. I expect some crazy stuff to go down. All right. You got it with The Exorcist. You got it with Carrie. So what is this little girl going to do? What is she going to do? All right. And, a lot of that fell into the ending of the movie. I'm not going to say what happened in the end. Let's just say it didn't meet my satisfactory. I was not pleased with that ending. It fell flat. And I understand the whole message of the, Uncle Naughty and, selling the soul and everything. I appreciate that they really told some truth on that. But that ending, it was not working for me at all. It just kind of hit a wall. Like they didn't know what to do, what else they wanted to do with that movie. And so it ended like that. Just like you just closing the book. You're slamming the book, close. That's it. We're done. We've done all we can do. Good night, everybody. Like, like a talk show, like a late night show. Good night, everybody. And that's kind of how it felt. Like, I feel like y'all are missing something that could have been done. So yeah, it could have went out with a bang. Let's put it like that. This movie was supposed to go out with a bang, and it didn't. But I'm still giving this a hell yeah. Okay, I'm giving it a hell yeah. Got to. It's really good. It's really good. It has that whole feel to it. I got some chills. It was talking about some real stuff mixed in with the horror. But it did its job. Like, share, you better subscribe.